All right, welcome back to yet another beautiful episode of The Green Line right here on Rapid TV. It's been an amazing week in general, and I would say I had a maybe 9 over 10 kind of week, because Christmas is literally in the air and everyone is out there to celebrate with friends and family. But while we do that, we still try to keep tabs of everything happening in the agricultural sector right here on the Green Line. And I hear that tomatoes is gradually skyrocketing, the price of tomatoes and onions and what have you, just because of the Christmas celebration. However, it's always important that you stock early, because much as we are complaining about what it is right now, it might get worse close to Christmas. So stock up your refrigerator, stock up as much as you can, just so at that time you'll be relaxing while people, will be doing the back and forth on all of the food necessities for the holidays. Welcome again. My name is Martha Alo. As always, I'll update you, but as Nigeria pushes back to break the cycle of low productivity and food insecurity, one factor keeps standing out, which is seeds. And the quality of seeds alone can increase yields by up to 70%. Yet only about 30% of Nigerian farmers use certified varieties. Now, we have heard talks that the government is approving a 50 billion naira presidential catalytic seed fund, where there's new hope for reviving the nation's seed industry. Today on the Green Line, we will dive into that, what the funding really means and the gap it is trying to close, and how stronger seed system could reshape Nigerians' agricultural future. But as always, before we get into that, let me say happy new month to you. You last heard from me in November, and this is December. A happy new month. As always on the Green Line, what we do is try to keep you updated on the agricultural trends throughout the month of November. And first, the federal government unveiled a 250 billion food security and agricultural financing fund for smallholder farmers, which would boost is a big boost for smallholders, could improve input access, productivity, and food security nationwide. Secondly, there was a launch of a Farm for Tech Expo 2025 in Abuja, which was basically showcasing agri-technology, finance, and sustainable agricultural innovations. Highlights of this is the rise of agri-tech and fintech potential, which is a game changer for modernization, mechanization, and digital agriculture. Still on the updates for the month of November, the federal government and stakeholders are urging farmers and investors to embrace organic and agroecological farming, which is a signal to a shift towards sustainable agriculture, health-conscious practices relevant for food quality and environmental resilience. At the 2025 National Agricultural Show, which took place in Kefi, Nasarawa State, Dangote Fertilizer Limited won the Top Input Award, which was basically spotlighting critical role of quality input. And it underlines the importance of fertilizer and input supply in boosting yields, critical for struggling agricultural sector. And finally, today we will be looking at the news where the government announced a 50 billion presidential catalytic seed fund to revive Nigeria's seed industry and improve access to certified seeds. Seed quality is fundamental for productivity and yield, and it could impact output and food system long term, which of course will be the basis for our conversation today. Let's go out on a very short break. When we get back, we'll get on with the guest interview. Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us. As always, that update is pretty much everything that you need to know. There are a lot more. There's so many things that have happened throughout the month of November. There were programs, I think one in Transcorp, there was one in Kaduna, there's one in Kefi, which is what we spotlighted for the programs that went on throughout the month of November. It's important that we get to know some of these updates, just so as farmers and intending farmers, because I believe that all of the programs which we do here is intended towards taking people back to where they just want to consume, to where they are very intentional about production as well. And today's conversation, we're talking about the 50 billion presidential catalytic seed fund, which is much more than a financial intervention, which is basically aiming towards taking Nigerians' food security, seed safety from where it is right now to a permanent site. And to have that conversation today, we have quite a full house.
Yeah.
Good morning to you.
Good morning.
It's so good to have. Let's meet you. You guys will do the introduction yourself today.
Yes, my name is Garuba Fisolumide, the founder of Voice of the Farmer. We are based in Lagos and we work closely with farmers, especially farmers at the grassroots level, smallholder farmers, to see how we can help them to showcase what they do and tell their story. So it's nice being on the show with you.
Do you help people that want, because now with all the programs we're doing here, you can call me a farmer because I'm getting into the farmland. So do you help people who don't know anything about agriculture and just love the idea of it?
Yeah, yes, we do. You know, through our storytelling, and you know, when you see that the food you eat on your table, what goes behind the scene and how the food are being grown, you know, sometimes I've seen so many people that have been inspired and they also go into that kind of farming as well, probably even if it is backyard farming, because part of what we do is also, after telling the story, we train farmers, agricultural enthusiasts as well, because it is the right time for some of us, or let me say all of us, should go back to farming, even if it is not in large scale. At least what you eat, it should start from you. So anybody, agricultural enthusiasts, farmers, stakeholders, policymakers in agriculture, we work with them closely. It's
very interesting because I think last month, let me not say last month, now that's November, I'm talking about October, I planted water leaf and I ate it by myself. I was so proud of myself.
Also,
because it grew, so it was fresh and it was very nice. I mean, I know that feel of farming what you eat.
At least that does it. So you eat organically and you know that, you know, the source of what you are eating, where it's coming from. That's it.
Okay. My name is Jerry Toby, team lead Jet Farms and Agro Solution. I am popularly called the chief farmer of Africa. And I want to say what we do at Jet Farms is actually to ensure that we solve 3 key issues: access to finance for farmers, creating access to markets by providing markets for farmers, and also adding value to our food products. So we have different arm of Jet Farms where we have the Demore spices where we produce.
That I'm coming to collect. I've seen it. I saw it in the hamper.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
That.
So Demore spices, where we produce spices and also rice. We do rice production. We have amazing products over there. At least adding value, solving the problem of post-harvest losses, and also we do trainings for farmers on climate smart agriculture and quite a number of things. And we are glad to be on the show here to actually discuss the critical. And one of the news I think you should actually share is that in the agricultural show we already have a new head for a new president for AFAN.
So I saw that.
Yes, there was a new president for AFAN, and congratulations to the new AFAN president on we wish him well and less battles in his. Is
it less battles?
Yes, less battles, because there's actually a lot of fights in the agricultural sector. So wish him a blessed tenure and a better administration.
All right, let's get into the matter of today, which is the quality of seed. Why is it such an important conversation? Because most people, I would say, what they care about is basically let the food just come. Let's pay for the food and let's eat and let life move on. But for farmers, it's a lot more important a conversation to talk about the seeds that we have. And I remember when we were talking about ginger farming, you said Nigeria has exported most of its ginger and we don't have any quality seedlings to replant and what have you. So why is seeds or seedlings such an important conversation?
So for me, I think seed is actually very important because it's the first point of contact for food production. You can't talk about farming, you can't talk about production of food without starting from the seed. It's just like you saying, is the starting point of what we'll call it's like you wanting to give birth to a child. The first thing is the sperm, and the spermatozoa is one that actually accelerates the photos and everything before you can even say you're a child. It might look very less important because one seed can give you a lot of crop. If you plant a seed of maize today, can give you more than 50 to 100 to 300 seedlings. So seed is actually very important. You know, when we started the show, I was telling you the numbers. I said if seed is not actually taken care of, we are projecting 400 million by 2050 and we are currently at 250 million. If seed is not taken care of, I'm not sure because good seed give good yield, good yield give feed the people, and when we feed the people we can actually say there's food security. So when there's no seed security, there's actually no food security. So it's actually very, very important that we actually take care of that seed issue critically, because there's actually a lot of things that actually a lacuna, a lot of gaps in the seed sector, and which we're going to discuss today and talk critically about where are these lacunas? Where are the government? Where should this money go to? Where should
Absolutely.
exactly? It's actually very, very important.
Okay.
Yes, thank you very much for that. You know, I love the fact that we are talking about seed, because even not just in crop alone,
Okay.
in livestock as well. Let me talk about
Seeds in
yes.
livestock.
Yes,
Tell
if you are
us
talking
about
if you are
seeds.
talking about fish, we call it fish seed too.
Oh, okay,
You know,
yeah.
all those juvenile and fingerlings, they are also seed. That tells you how important seed is. So it is very important. It's just like the foundation of everything. Without seed, there's no going to be, like, we are talking about sweet corn, you are talking about corn. They started from somewhere. So seed is very, very, very important. And you know, if you have a good soil, or you have a good land, a fertile land, and you have a bad seed, definitely you will not have something good coming out of it.
Exactly.
That so seed should be given more attention to, and that is why when I saw the news that yes, something like 50 billion is being allocated for this, I think it's a good one, and I think Nigeria is getting ready for us to do the right thing when it comes to the seed, because we have so many challenges. You know, I said I was working with smallholder farmers, and we still work with them. You know, there are so many seeds that they will get out there, and that is adulterated, that they will not get the result, the expected yield that they're supposed to get. And if this kind of funding is now set aside to make sure that yes, we have certified seed, because now if we are giving seeds to farmers and it is not certified, definitely you are telling us that if we get a good yield, maybe by luck, but if we have a certified seed, and you know that I'm going to have 90% germination of that seed, that means you can now emphasize that okay, this is the amount of yield that I'm expecting. Don't forget that this seed is going to amount to what we call food security, as Jerry said, because if you have a good seed, you're going to have a good yield, and now that means you are tackling what we call food security. So seed is very, very important, and we need to take it more seriously as well.
Seriously. Okay, since you deal with farmers a lot, what are the major issues they face when it comes to seedling? Because now you have said, what farmers experience is they get very poor output because of the quality of seed that they have. Where does this poor quality seed even come from in the first place? Do we export, or do we import rather? Where does it come from into the country?
Now, at the moment, now, do you know some of the seeds that we use? Let me give you an example, especially for tomato. Now, some of those seeds that we use are imported seed.
Okay.
And now, I'm not saying imported seed are bad, because you know, as a farmer, when you want to use a seed, probably especially if you're buying a seed, I think this could be like a message to our farmers out there. For some of them that don't know, you need to check the pack of that seed.
Okay.
The first thing is that check the germination rate. If the germination rate is less than 80%, don't go for that seed.
Why?
Because definitely you are not going to get a good yield from
So why
it.
is it in the market?
Now, that is why certification is needed now.
Okay.
And you know, all these imported seed, I can tell you that some of them will give you 90% germination rate. So, but you know, now there's something that we need to understand when it comes to seed as well too, about the generation of the seed.
Okay.
Now that is why sometimes when I say farmers are not getting a good yield, the question you should ask them is that which generation did they plant? Now it's just as if I have a F1 seed. F1 means first generation. Now when I plant F1 seed, and because maybe that F1 seed that I bought is very expensive. Let's say I bought it at the rate of 100,000, and I was like, and you know, at the moment now, let's say the prices of food is reduced now. Yeah, I think this is a very big topic that even maybe later you can discuss about, because the prices of food is reducing, and farmers have borrowed loan. Let me say 3 to 4 months ago, how did they want to buy that seed again? Now I'm going back to the seed that okay, farmers may not have that resources to buy that seed. That is the F1. They will now say, okay, what should I do? They will now remove from the jam, that is the one they harvested, and they remove it and they replant it. That means that is F2 now. So if you are planting F2, you are not going to get the yield that you get from
yield.
the F1.
Okay.
So now what is the solution to this is awareness. Now if farmers know that okay, this F2 that I want to plant, I will not get this expected yield that I'm supposed to get from F1, they will know that okay, it is just for me to save money to go for F1 because we are talking about getting this yield so that we'll be able to tackle what we call food security. Now, so talking about where those poor seeds are coming from, now this is where our government need to help our farmers. Let them know which kind of seed is good for us to use. Now, I think they did a program they called Topan. They are talking about giving out some seeds to farmers for especially tomato. Now, if they can work on that as well, you know, they are still on like a pilot stage. Like, okay, they are giving the seed to farmers. Give us feedback on how this thing do. I think if we have our own seed, go, that okay, this is from Nigeria and this is the expected yield that we are expecting, I feel we are going to get a better result. So, I think Nigeria still need to do a lot of things, our government, and that is what the funding should be directed to. Now, let's see how we can certify our own seed, indigenous seed, because depending on imported seed is like, you know, when they say that you are depending on them too much, at some point
they can send in adulterated products into the market.
That is it. That is it. And at some point, even if not doing that, at some point they know these people are dependent on us. So that means the price will keep going up. And we are talking about dollar rates now. So that means the farmers are buying high input and they're getting low yield, and they're not even making more money. That is it.
Interesting. Now, Mr. Toby, we have research that says that Nigeria needs about 500,000 MT of seed on a yearly basis, but we produce way less than that. I think it says 30%, far less than that. You know, how do you think that this fund should be implemented? How do you think it should be used to improve the quality of seeds that we have and the saturation of the market with quality seeds?
So let me tell you one of the reasons why that gap is because number one, there is no proper sensitization of people seeing the business of seed. People have not we have not had a lot of seed entrepreneurs. Secondly, the little seed entrepreneurs in the market are not being celebrated. They are not being recognized. And the few of them that try to do a number of things, government policy actually overshadow them. They don't have policy to protect them. So when I'm as a seed producer, I go into the seed production and there is import of seeds into the country. I am not encouraged because if I bring it at this price, my cost of production and everything, trying to do breeder seed, trying to ensure that I follow the normal standard, and the cost is high. And government doesn't buy for me to say, I'm buying from you so that at least to keep you in business, to keep you profitable, and I supply to this thing. Because the cost of producing seed is actually not very cheap. So it's actually not encouraging enough. There's no policy to guide those seed entrepreneurs. Secondly, I think one of the reasons that has caused the gap is that our farmers are not properly sensitized about what the kind of seed they should use. So people are always fear of the hybrid seed, and I know I don't want to bring the issue of hybrid seed, the GMO seeds. So one of the seed that Nigeria actually uses is the OPVC, open pollinated variety, and that's the seed we use for planting rice, plants for maize, cowpea, millet, and the rest. And it is actually a very big gap because looking at it, we want to produce food for over 250 million people. We need at least 500 metric tons of seed to produce this food, to meet the listing. It's a mathematics. If we don't meet it, we don't get the right seed, we don't get the right kind of seed, we can't meet the demand to produce food for these people. We keep on ensuring that people keep on focusing on that low yield. And when it is low yield, now let me tell you an example. Let us pick particularly rice. Rice is a commonly staple food that everybody and everyone in every home eats. But if you look at it, you plant your rice this year, maybe you plant 1 bag of rice, you harvest like maybe 3 or 4 bags of rice at the end of the year. You now say, I'm going to sell 2 bags. I'm going to keep 1 bag for family and 1 bag for next year planting. And you realize that when you keep on using that 1 bag, the yield start coming down. And that is what happened again to our ginger. If you go back to our conversation about the ginger, this thing, one of the reasons why the ginger blight happen is because of the reuse of the singular ginger seed we have been using over time. We have not had investment into breeding of ginger seed. There have not been the right investment into the ensuring that there is a research institution that ensure that we breed new seeds. The same seed we have been using since the 90s. Our parents planting, we're still planting it. That's same. So there is no new seed. So seeds die too. At one point in time, they begin. It's just like you reusing someone that has been doing something for the other time. The power diminish. So it's actually going to currently having diminishing return. So investment into that to fill that gap is actually very important. And I'm going to say it to the government. I'm going to say it to private investors. I want to say it to development agency that if you can actually look at investments into the 3 aspects, beyond that 50 billion, we invest into policy. We invest into policy protecting seed entrepreneurs. Policy creating that using the Nigerian made seeds. So people that are producing the seed entrepreneurs trying to do it in Nigeria, let's invest into them. Secondly, invest into the seed infrastructure. And thirdly, we should also invest into seed research. Because it's actually very important. The research institution need to actually commercialize a number of their research. Some of them have done the research in a very little way, but there need to be commercialization of that seed. If you go to the shelf of NACS today, you see a number of different varieties of seed they have worked on that will give them large yield. But can we commercialize it? Okay. Can we invest into commercialization? And can we ensure that the government, that even at this time, even by next year, we should start working at that. By next year, every seed that the government will be distributing to the farmers should be seed produced by Nigerian-made seed entrepreneurs, and actually is actually the right way, so that your money you are bringing in actually yield a large result.
Okay, you were good. So now we are talking about seed entrepreneurs, but the truth is you rarely see any of them out there. You rarely see anyone say I'm a seed entrepreneur. In fact, the first time I caught a wind of what actually seed is, and that people actually get contracts to send seeds out of Nigeria. It was early this year where someone was giving like a contract to export seeds out of Nigeria. So we don't see this out there a lot. What do you think the government needs to do? Because you talked about investment in policy. I think investment in knowledge, investment in sensitization, where a lot of Nigerians are aware that there's something here. I just think that most Nigerians are not aware of the opportunities that exist within the agricultural ecosystem. So when we say farming, we only just think about tilling the soil, production. We don't think about the other arms, which I think if we must, the goal of Nigeria to return us to our agricultural heritage, if we must be able to achieve that, there must be a lot of sensitization, knowledge sharing, information sharing to different parts of the people in different parts of the world. So how do you think that these investments can be done? Investment in knowledge first. Secondly, what policies do you think should be invested in, especially when it comes to seeds in Nigeria?
For me, I love the fact that we are trying to talk about this. Now there are so many value chains in agriculture.
Absolutely.
There are very big opportunities. I always tell people that no matter the field you are coming from, agriculture have that space for you. Even if you are in the tech world, if you are in the creative world, if you are in anything, there is a space for you. Now, I heard this from Jerry that there's something we call seedpreneur. Normally we just go and buy seed. That is a business that some of our youth can venture into.
Exactly.
What I feel is just that when you're talking about policy, when you're talking about knowledge, I think we should start from the grassroots. And where is the grassroots? Schools.
Okay.
Now I yesterday I met with a lady. She said she studied agriculture in school, and she felt like she's not celebrated. Like, when they're talking about the courses they are studying in school, she's not always proud to say I'm studying agric, because everybody look down on the farmer. They say they know a farmer should look rough, but I think the narrative is changing now. So if we are looking at letting our youth to know the opportunities that we have in the agric space, we should start from the grassroots, even from the secondary school. Let them see some of these value chains, some of these opportunities that we have in agriculture. We have so many opportunities there. This seed that we are talking about alone, there are so many things. You can be like a marketer, you can be the seed breeder, you can be this, you can be that in just one seed. Let's not talk about the production. You can be the logistic person, you can be a distributor, even that tech that all of us are saying we want to do. There's something you can do around it. So I feel, like you said, I agree with you that we need to invest more in knowledge aside from the policy. Yes, policy will help us, but knowledge, sometimes I might not know something is existing, but when I have that information that this thing I can make money from it, and because that is what everybody is looking for. How do we make money? How do we make ends living? So once people say, okay, yes, these are the things that you can do, let us enlighten our youth more. I want to give kudos to this program as well. You are passing information to the world, and so many other programs as well that are doing that. So we need to do more of this sensitization program. Anywhere we have youth, even NYSC, let us involve them more in agriculture. Let us involve them. So let them know that, okay.
I wonder why people are not even deployed to farmlands. They're going to kill me for this.
I'm actually working on ensuring that happens this year.
The funniest thing is that some of the people that were deployed to farm, when they finished, they will go and start their own farm.
Mostly.
I can confirm this and tell you that this is the truth, because when they go through the process and they see that there's money in this thing. It's not just, agriculture is beyond just stealing the land and what we are thinking of. That your phone that you have with you can just be like an intermediary between the farmer and the end consumer, and you make your money. So I think we just need to invest more in knowledge. As you said, that okay, let our people know that there's a lot of opportunities that we have in the agri space.
Okay, I'll throw this question open, which will be about accessibility for rural farmers. because when we are talking about growing the quality of seeds, we must not also fail to acknowledge that some of these farmers within these rural communities are one of the biggest producers or one of the biggest distributors of foods and crops into, you know, the urban communities. How will they also have access to the quality of seeds? Because most times what they care about, like you said, one seed has been passed from parent to child to grandchild and all of that. Some of these people are still operating in the primitive knowledge of farming that they had, you know. Meanwhile, there are other improved ways of farming. You made mention of the first generation seedling. I don't know that. Some of these farmers don't also know that. What they know is this seed is good. This man planted it in his farmland. He yielded a lot of harvest. You know, so let's plant the same thing that, you know, let's farm the same thing he had in his farmland. So these people also don't know. How will they have access to, you know, the quality seeds as well? And knowledge, because when we speak of these things, we speak as though we are ignorant of the fact that there are people within communities that do not have access to information like this. How do you think the government should expend this fund in reaching these rural communities as well?
Yeah, okay, so let me tell you the one, and that's where the importance of agricultural extension comes in. Okay. Because extension officers and people that actually move this information, I don't know, that moves the information to the rural or grassroots. One of the reasons why people in the rural area don't get the right information is because, number one, I remember the statistics that there's one extension worker to more than 2,000 farmers, which is actually a very, very large gap. And especially extension workers to travel from this local government to this local government, it's actually very crazy. So one of the things that I think is very important is government, can we come back in revamping the ADPs? There's something called the ADPs. Can we come back in revamping the ADPs? If you go to a lot of our ADPs office, it's actually depleted. I know it was discussed also in the last council. I was in the previous council, in the 2024 council, 2025 council. It was a conversation that was also happening.
What do you think the government can do to ensure that there's continuity in interventions like this?
ADPs are like the teachers of the farmers. They are the ones that take new technology adoption, and they're the ones that take new seed, new information to the farmers. But now, according to the information I have, there are some states in the southwest that their ADPs are not functioning anymore. So now, if we are talking about this seed of a thing now, and the ADPs are not working, how do we want to get to the grassroots farmers? So we need to look into that as well. So also, what will be my message to the government is this: see, I can see that this current administration are doing something different from the past one, and I think now let me say to some extent, some interventions are getting to the real farmers. Because I work with some of them very well, I know how it used to be before. Because some of them, when they say they want to do intervention, you will see people doing barbing, people doing hairdressing, people doing shoemaking. They will tell you they are farmers, and some of this support will not get to the. Because if you are saying you want to get a support, you want to get intervention, and you want this thing to have effect on food production, let it get to the real farmers. Let them give you the feedback that, okay, this seed that we do now, this new seed that is breeded by a company A, yes, this is the result. I think we want this seed. So what I would just advise the government is just that let us make sure that every intervention we want to do gets down to the grassroots level and the farmers that need it.
All right, it's been an exciting conversation here. Thank you so much, Mr. Olumide Garuba, for joining us on the show today. CEO, Voice of the Farmers, very soon Voice of Matter too, you guys. And we have Mr. Jerry Toby, Chief Farmer of Africa. Thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
Thank you very much.
Right, just so you know, the 50 billion presidential catalytic seed fund is more than a financial intervention. It is a statement of intent, because without quality seeds there will be no quality harvest, and without certified inputs, food security remains a promise and not a reality. And today's conversation was basically to remind us that transforming Nigeria's agriculture does not always begin on the farm. Sometimes it begins with the seed itself, and the policies we design, the funding we deploy, the systems we build today will determine what ends up on our tables tomorrow. So I will literally draw the curtain here. Thank you so much for staying with us on the Green Line, where agriculture meets policy, innovation meets opportunity, and ideas meet action. Once again, my name is Martha Alu. Until next time, let's keep growing Nigeria, one seed, one farm, one solution at a time. See you next week.